Welcome to Retro Celeb Talk, your gateway to the golden age of fame, where classic Hollywood stories and music legends come alive once more.
Welcome, everyone, to a special Retro Celeb Talk exploration. We're pulling back the curtains today on one of television's really enduring cultural touchstones. Leave It to Beaver.
Absolutely. For so many people, the Cleavers are the 1950s American family, perfect, problem-free, living in this kind of, well, eternal suburban bliss.
Right, that pristine image. And that's exactly why it's so fascinating to dig in and discover the tremendous effort, the personal sorrow, and frankly, the incredible financial risks that went into keeping that image afloat.
Yeah, today we're going way beyond just the nostalgia. We're going to look at this shocking, $40,000 budget blowout for one simple episode and how that one cost basically changed the show fundamentally.
We'll also get into the immense personal burdens the actors carried. I mean, the quiet tragedy that really shadowed Hugh Beaumont, who played Ward Cleaver, the ultimate TV dad. And maybe the most surprising thing, why the two young stars were actually banned from ever watching the show that made them household names.
And, we have to talk about the really complex, kind of awkward, and just very human reasons why one of the main child actors felt she had to walk away from it all, citing, the intense pressure of physical scrutiny on a young, developing star. It's quite a story.
It really is. You are about to become a genuine insider on the strange and wonderful history of Mayfield. Let's unpack this right now.
Okay, so to keep up that illusion of innocence, right, that simplicity, the production team behind the scenes, they were dealing with some extremely adult problems, specifically money.
Oh, yeah.
Our information highlights this really staggering production cost for what seems like a totally innocent black and white episode from '61. It's called In the Soup.
Ah, In the Soup. That's an iconic one, definitely. Aired May 6, 1961. It's the one where Beaver, he gets dared by his friend Whitey, climbs up onto this giant billboard to see if the soup in the picture is real soup.
Of course.
And naturally, he falls in and gets stuck in the giant bowl. Then there's the fire department rescue. Huge embarrassment. Classic Beaver. It's such a simple, charming story. But the cost, anything but simple. Back then, most episodes of Leave It to Beaver were costing, maybe $30,000, $40,000, something like that?
Yeah, that was about the average, the established range for a half-hour sitcom at the time. Pretty standard.
But this one episode, In the Soup, it just blew past expectations, hit the $40,000 mark, maybe even a bit higher. For the producers, that was, kind of a catastrophic financial moment.
The reason for that strain was purely technical. It really shows how tricky it was to produce even seemingly small effects back then. To get the full scope of the scene, Beaver struggling inside that bowl, they couldn't just use the billboard that was already there on location.
Right.
The crew actually had to build two massive soup billboards.
Two? Why two?
Well, they needed the real one, the outdoor one, for the wide shots, to establish the scene, show the chaos down on the street level.
Okay.
But then they also had to build this huge, detailed replica of the soup bowl right there on the soundstage.
Ah, for the close-ups.
Exactly. That soundstage prop let them get the cameras in really tight for all the shots of Jerry Mathers acting trapped and, struggling in this soup. Building those two things, big, high-quality props, just sent the cost shooting through the roof.
Wow.
Yeah, it resulted in this sudden, massive financial hit for the production company.
What's really interesting here isn't just the price tag, though. It's the immediate fallout. That one financial blow basically forced the production team to completely rethink their strategy going forward. How did that massive budget, change how they told stories?
Our analysis shows they had to actively economize pretty much immediately. They shifted their focus towards developing more ensemble cast episodes, meaning episodes that relied more heavily on the minor characters. Eddie Haskell, Lumpy Rutherford, people like that. And those episodes could be shot on the cheaper existing soundstage sets. Didn't need expensive location filming or, elaborate new props built. So it fundamentally changed the direction of their storytelling, all to try and recoup the money they lost on one, frankly, ridiculously expensive billboard climb.
That's fascinating. So moving from costs to creative constraints, there was this really strict, almost counterintuitive rule about humor on the set, which really speaks volumes about the show's overall tone, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The producers apparently had this rule. If a joke or a line made the entire set, the crew, actors, everyone laughed too loudly.
It got cut.
Immediately cut from the script. Yeah.
That seems backward. Usually you want the big laughter.
Not on this show.
Yep.
That rule tells you everything about their philosophy. They weren't going for that laugh track roar or the kind of exaggerated physical comedy you saw elsewhere in early TV. They didn't want boisterous comedy.
So what was the goal then?
The aim, apparently, was for a subtle and gentle smile.
A gentle smile.
Yeah. They wanted you, the viewer watching at home, to smile because you saw a little reflection of your own life, maybe your own family's quirks or, your own slightly embarrassing childhood mistake. Make the moment relatable, not just hilarious.
That's a remarkable level of artistic control, prioritizing that quiet realism over just loud entertainment.
And while they were busy managing the humor, making sure it stayed gentle, they were also pulling off this act of, pure television rebellion. At the same time,
You're talking about the toilet incident.
the legendary Captain Jack episode, October 1957.
Right. This features one of the quietest, but maybe one of the most significant milestone moments in TV history. The first toilet ever shown on American television.
It sounds so mundane now, but back then, Wally and Beaver, they get this baby alligator, right, Captain Jack, and they need somewhere quick to hide him.
And where do they choose?
The toilet water tank.
The audacity. I mean, in the 1950s, just mentioning a bathroom or a toilet was basically taboo, let alone showing one on a family show.
Exactly. The censors, first at CBS, then later at ABC when the show moved, they reacted really strongly. Initially, they just flat out prohibited any image of it. They were worried it would, corrupt the innocence of the airwaves or something.
It seems utterly ridiculous today, but yeah, that was a major battle. The producers really had to fight for it, didn't they? Because the hiding place was kind of central to the plot.
They fought hard.
Yeah.
And eventually, they reached this very specific compromise with the incredibly rigid censors.
What was the deal? What could they show?
Okay, get this. They were allowed to show only the lid of the toilet tank, the tank itself, and the flush handle.
But not the bowl.
Absolutely not the bowl. No way. So just those few seconds, that little partial, totally innocuous glimpse of plumbing. It was like a quiet earthquake in TV history, subtly pushing the boundaries of what was okay to show in the American living room.
So you've got a show that's worried a single laugh might be too loud, while at the same time they're daring to push back against decades of censorship over basic household fixtures.
It perfectly captures that really strange mix, doesn't it? That sort of forced innocence alongside this underlying streak of rebellion.
And that manufactured innocence, it extended right down to the setting itself. Mayfield, the Cleaver's hometown. It was intentionally kept ambiguous, wasn't it? A place that was kind of nowhere and everywhere at the same time.
That was absolutely deliberate. A stroke of genius by the producers, really. They wanted Mayfield to feel instantly relatable to every American family. Didn't matter if you lived on the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast.
Right, so no specific state, no coordinates ever officially given. It was meant to be the ultimate idealized, sort of placeless slice of American suburbia.
But viewers loved trying to pin it down. And the show did drop these little clues, sometimes contradictory ones, like Wally once mentioned his school band was going to perform in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, Midwest.
And the family talked about the Green Bay Packers pretty often.
Yeah.
So, yeah, strong hints towards the Midwest, maybe Wisconsin.
But then the physical reality, the actual filming locations, told a different story.
Exactly. Exterior shots, the ones they used for Mayfield, were reportedly filmed in Skokie, Illinois. So still Midwest, but different state. And then other bits of dialogue hinted at Ohio. They mentioned places like Grant Avenue or showed settings that felt very Cleveland-style suburban.
So it was all over the map, basically.
Pretty much. And what our sources emphasize is that the producers actively worked to keep that ambiguity going. They deliberately changed street signs and shots or adjust distances mentioned in dialogue just to stop anyone from pinpointing a precise location.
Wow.
They wanted Mayfield to exist purely as an idea, a concept, not a real physical address on a map, reinforcing that perfect little world they were creating.
So if Mayfield was this manufactured ideal, the actors themselves also had to sort of manufacture an ideal life too, often hiding some pretty profound personal realities just to maintain that perfect image for the camera. Let's transition now. Let's talk about the adults behind that pristine facade.
Yeah, let's shift focus to Hugh Beaumont, the actor who played Ward Cleaver. He didn't just play the ideal father, he really became this enduring symbol, didn't he? The calm, wise voice of reason.
Totally.
But behind that very gentle expression on screen, Beaumont was apparently dealing with some immense private pain.
It's such a profound disconnect to think about. In 1959, right when Leave It to Beaver was really gaining steam, entering its third season, a terrible tragedy struck his family.
That's right. They were traveling, I think, from Minnesota back to Hollywood. His wife, his son Hunter, and his mother-in-law were in this devastating car accident.
Oh my God.
His mother-in-law was killed, and his son was very seriously injured.
And he had to go back to work, playing Ward Cleaver.
Can you imagine? having to put on the suit and tie, walk onto that idealized set, deliver lines about, mild parental frustrations, all while carrying that kind of profound, just unhealable wound. It must have been almost impossible to separate the actor from the personal tragedy.
Colleagues apparently noticed it. They observed that despite being totally professional, he often seemed kind of detached on set, struggled maybe to really enjoy the show's growing success. Instead, just sort of methodically going through the motions, with his spirit never quite escaping the shadow of that loss. It adds such a heartbreaking layer to Ward's famous calm demeanor, doesn't it? It makes it seem like this monumental act of emotional control.
But he was incredibly dedicated, and he actually leveraged his background. He had experience in writing and producing before acting took off. He didn't just act in the show, he got deeply involved in its structure.
That's right. He channeled his focus into the creative side. He ended up directing a remarkable number of episodes, 23 of them.
Including the finale.
Including the really emotional series finale, Family Scrapbook. So this combined role, it meant he wasn't just reading lines someone else wrote. He was actively shaping the tone, the direction of the whole Cleaver family narrative, lending it this really profound, quiet sincerity, perhaps drawn from his own experiences.
Now let's talk about Barbara Billingsley. June Cleaver, the absolute model of perfection, right? Always impeccably dressed, even when she was like dusting in pearl.
The pearls, her signature look. That shiny pearl necklace is just as iconic as the Cleaver house itself.
We all just assumed, I think, that the pearls were purely a fashion choice. Signifying that mid-century elegance.
It seemed logical.
But our information points to a secret that's entirely rooted in, well, the technical demands of 1950s black and white television.
No way. What was it?
Apparently, Billingsley wore the pearls to hide a physical sort of flaw isn't the right word, maybe an indentation. She had a small indentation or hollow in her neck.
Okay.
And on those early black and white cameras, especially under the really harsh key lighting they needed for monochrome film, this little hollow created an awkward shadow on her neck. So the pearls, they acted as kind of a reflector and also visual distraction. They filled in that space, basically eliminated the shadow that would otherwise look maybe unnatural or distracting on screen.
That is incredible. How a necessary technical fix just instantly morphed into this permanent fashion trademark.
Right. Once the audience got used to seeing June Cleaver perfectly polished like that, the producers basically made the necklace mandatory, non-negotiable.
She'd wear it constantly.
Constantly. Reinforcing that image of perfect, immaculate motherhood. Didn't matter if she was cleaning the kitchen or serving dinner. Pearls on.
And that wasn't the only mandatory wardrobe thing, was it? There was something about high heels.
Oh yeah, the high heels. She was required to wear high heels basically all the time on set.
Yeah.
Which seems like such a strange, specific detail for a suburban mom puttering around the house.
Why the heels?
The reasoning is almost comical, but completely practical when you think about a show centered on growing kids. Jerry Mathers and Tony Dow, they were just shooting up in height, growing like weeds, almost right before your eyes on set. So Billingsley had to wear heels every single day just to ensure she maintained that visual hierarchy of motherhood. Staying physically taller than her on-screen sons as they filmed episode after episode.
The things they had to do, this constant physical requirement to look perfect. It sort of contributed to what happened after the show ended, didn't it?
It really did. Despite achieving this truly iconic status, Billingsley faced the absolutely devastating reality of typecasting. She struggled, apparently quite significantly, to find new roles because everyone, everywhere, saw her only as June Cleaver, indelibly.
That perfect image basically held her career hostage.
For years, it took a really radical, totally unexpected role to finally break free in the 1980 comedy Airplane.
Oh, her cameo in Airplane is legendary, where she plays the seemingly demure passenger who suddenly starts speaking fluent jive. It's brilliant.
It is. And what's fascinating is she was hired because she was June Cleaver. The whole joke depended on that incredible irony, the perfect suburban mother suddenly dropping street slang.
Did she know jive?
Nope. She embraced the challenge completely, learned jive specifically for that role from 2 actors on the set. It was a huge, high-risk career move for her. It really required that total reversal of image to finally break the enormous grip that June Cleaver held over her career.
Wow. So as the actors were aging and facing all these pressures, the show itself was doing something pretty unique for the time, something that really anchored its realism. It actually let the characters grow up naturally.
That's such a key distinction, isn't it? Unlike so many sitcoms back then, and even now that try to freeze characters in time, Leave It to Beaver spans 6 seasons. And you watched Beaver go from 2nd grade all the way to leaving elementary school.
And Wally, too.
And Wally went from 8th grade right through to graduating high school. Seeing that genuine real-time maturation process, it resonated so deeply with the audience. It gave the show this almost like documentarian feel, chronicling the stages of childhood and adolescence.
And as a kind of cool testament to the show's enduring legacy, the original Cleaver house set, the one at Universal Studios.
Still standing, still there today. It's a really popular attraction on the studio tour, apparently. And it's been used in countless other productions over the years, a tangible reminder of that iconic American living room. Okay, let's turn our attention now to the boys themselves. Beaver and Wally. Their on-screen relationship basically defined the show, didn't it? But their off-screen reality and the intense management of their childhoods is just as rich. It really all starts with Jerry Mather's audition for Beaver.
Oh, I love this story because it just showcases this pure, uncalculated innocence. Mathers shows up for the audition. He's 5 years old, and he's wearing a Cub Scout uniform, or was it Boy Scout? Cub Scout, I think.
Cub Scout, yeah. And he wasn't wearing it to try and impress the producers or anything?
Not at all. He just had his troop meeting right after the audition. And he apparently told the producers he wanted the audition to end quickly so he could get to his meeting.
That sincerity, that complete lack of Hollywood ego, it just completely won over the casting directors. His priority wasn't landing the part, it was getting to his scout meeting. That genuine, unaffected kidness was exactly what they were looking for in Theodore Beaver Cleaver.
And people often forget, even at 5, Mathers wasn't exactly new to the business. He had a pretty extensive resume already.
Yeah, he started modeling when he was only 2.5, and he'd already appeared in like 7 major or minor films by the time he even started elementary school. He was a pro.
Okay, before we move on from young Jerry Mathers, we absolutely have to tackle the most persistent rumor about his early career. Debunk it once and for all.
Oh, the I Love Lucy thing.
The I Love Lucy thing. For decades, fans have been absolutely certain that Jerry Mathers appeared in that 1953 episode, Ricky's Old Girlfriend. They swear that a little boy seen in Lucy's dream sequence is him.
Right, the resemblance is apparently quite striking.
But Mathers himself has denied it. Repeatedly, for years and years. Our research confirms he never appeared in any I Love Lucy episode, ever.
So who was it?
Production records verify that the role, the boy in the dream, was actually played by twin boys named Joseph and Michael Mayer.
Twins, okay.
So, if you're a fan out there who always thought you spotted little Beaver on I Love Lucy,
Yeah.
you were fooled by an uncanny resemblance. Mystery solved.
Good to clear that up.
Yep.
Now let's talk Tony Dow, Wally Cleaver. Before he became America's sort of perfect older brother figure, he was training for a completely different kind of spotlight, wasn't he?
Yeah, the Olympic.
The Olympics. A serious athlete is almost an understatement. From the age of 5, Dow was training diligently as a diver.
Wow.
By age 9, he was already a Junior Olympics diving champion. He was setting impressive records in his age group. His whole world was just discipline, precision, focus. All about diving.
So his dream wasn't acting at all?
Not initially. His dream was professional athletics, specifically competing in the 1972 Olympics. He was apparently enduring these incredibly painful practice entries, spending hours every day perfecting flips and dives, often in freezing cold pools. Dedication.
And then Hollywood called.
As it often does. Fate intervened, dramatically. His mother took him along to an audition when he wasn't apparently even that keen on going to. And his natural sort of demeanor, his wholesome athletic build, it just clicked. Landed him the Wally role, which meant basically instantly abandoning those intensive Olympic dreams to become a child actor.
That's a massive pivot for a young kid. A huge change in ambition and focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But despite that professional redirection, the sibling bond we saw on screen between Wally and Beaver, that was apparently the real deal.
They were actually friends.
Genuinely close friends in real life. They really treated each other like brothers offset, which is probably why their on-screen chemistry felt so natural, so believable.
That's nice to hear. And that bond lasted.
It lasted a lifetime. They maintained it long after the show ended. They even toured together decades later in plays like Boeing, and So Long Stanley. Yeah. Mathers actually recalled that Dow once gave up a pretty lucrative house renovation job just so he could go on tour and collaborate with him again. That's a true testament to their lifelong brotherly friendship.
That's fantastic. It's a great example of life imitating art, isn't it? Only sort of inverted.
How so?
Well, in real life, Jerry Mathers was actually the older of the two. But Tony Dow played the protective older brother role so convincingly on screen that their show dynamic completely superseded their real ages in the public eye.
That's true. Funny how that works. Now, here is arguably the most surprising fact about their whole time on the show. Maybe the most restrictive rule.
What's that?
They were forbidden from watching it.
What? Themselves?
Yep. They were becoming huge cultural idols, right? Their faces were everywhere, yet they were explicitly told they could not watch the phenomenon they were creating.
Get out of here! Why? Who told them that?
Tony Dow confirmed it himself. The producers instructed their parents to strictly forbid them, Jerry and Tony, from seeing the show during its original run. And this wasn't just like a casual suggestion. It was an enforced production rule.
That is bizarre. Why such a severe restriction? What was the thinking?
The reasoning was actually pretty simple and very deeply rooted in the show's core value, innocence.
Okay.
The producers were genuinely worried that the intense spotlight, the fame, the success, it would make the boys get a big head, as they put it.
Arrogance.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They believed that if the boys watched themselves becoming famous week after week, they'd lose that crucial sincerity, that humility, that natural, unaffected demeanor that made Beaver and Wally so incredibly appealing to the audience in the first place.
Wow, that is a fascinating psychological experiment, basically. They're walking symbols of American innocence, yet they're completely walled off from the reality of their own fame.
Mm-hmm. Dow admitted that even many years later, he still hadn't seen all the episodes he actually starred in. But this band, however strange it seems to us now, maybe it did help them maintain some semblance of a normal childhood outside the studio, allowed them to focus on school, on just being kids when they weren't on set. So as the show went on, and the child stars inevitably started maturing, right? The impossibility of maintaining that sort of enforced perfect innocence became really apparent. And that led to several kind of difficult character exits.
Right, you can't stop kids from growing up.
Exactly. And one of the most telling departures, maybe the most poignant, was Jerry Weil. She played Beaver's sharp-tongued, know-it-all classmate, Judy Hensler.
Oh yeah, Judy. She was great, appeared in, 31 episodes, always giving Beaver a hard time, the perfect counterpoint to his naivete.
She was, but she voluntarily left the show. And the reason she revealed later in life was, well, it was heartbreakingly specific. It was basically embarrassment, rooted entirely in her physical development as a young woman.
Oh wow, what did she say?
She talked about the immense pressure of filming as a young teenager whose body was starting to change naturally, and how the production team dealt with it. They apparently used ace bandages to try and cover her developing breasts.
Oh no.
Yeah, desperately trying to preserve that image of a little prepubescent girl for the cameras.
It sounds awful and stressful.
Incredibly stressful. And it culminated for her in one specific, intensely embarrassing scene. It involved playing baseball, and she had to wear a long skirt for the costume.
Okay.
She revealed later that this happened to be the first time she'd ever gotten her period. And she was absolutely terrified that the Kotex pad she was wearing would somehow show while she was doing the actions required for the scene, like spinning around.
Oh, that poor girl. That kind of psychological toll, that level of physical scrutiny on a young person just going through puberty, it's profound.
It really is. She realized, she said, that she'd matured physically in a way the boys on the show hadn't yet, or at least it wasn't as visibly apparent. And it just became impossible to hide those inevitable changes under the harsh, constant spotlight of the television cameras.
So she decided to leave.
She made a really profound choice, an act of agency, really. She voluntarily stepped away from the series, and she made this powerful statement later, correcting the record. "I once read that I was fired, but that's not true. They didn't fire me, I let them go."
Good for her.
Yeah, it was her decision to reclaim her privacy, her dignity, and just close that chapter because of the stress.
Wow. Okay, another noticeable absence later in the series was Larry Mondello. Beaver's sort of snack-loving, often troublemaking best friend, played by Rusty Stevens.
Right, Larry. He just suddenly vanished after season 3. No real explanation given in the script. Poof, gone.
No, initially there were rumors that his family just wanted to pull him out, shield him from the pressures of fame. Was that the whole story, or was there more going on behind the scenes?
Barbara Billingsley, June Cleaver herself,
Yeah.
she later provided a more nuanced account, confirming there was sort of a complex dual reason for his departure.
Okay.
While it was true that the family did eventually move away from California, they relocated to Philadelphia, seeking some distance from the whole Hollywood industry.
Mm-hmm.
There were also apparently significant difficulties happening on the set itself. Billingsley stated pretty directly that Rusty's mother was considered overly intrusive and difficult on set.
Oh, the dreaded stage mother situation.
Apparently she caused quite a bit of friction and frustration among the crew members who were just trying to, maintain a professional working environment.
So the combination of the family actually moving east, plus the mother being difficult.
Yeah.
It created the perfect storm, basically, for the character to be written out.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And his void, Larry's void, it was filled pretty quickly by introducing a new character, Gilbert Bates, played by Stephen Talbot, ensuring Beaver still had that mischievous, necessary companion.
Right, gotta have a best friend. Okay, so that brings us to the ultimate question for any really long-running successful show. Why did it finally end? Leave It to Beaver, wrapped up in 1963. Was it ratings? Did people stop watching?
Nope, not ratings. The audience was actually still tuning in quite faithfully. The show ended primarily because of a very mature personal decision made by the show's absolute soul.
Beaver himself, Jerry Mathers.
Jerry Mathers. He made the decision that he wanted and needed to prioritize his education as he was entering junior high school. The relentless filming schedule, plus all the promotional duties and appearances that came with being Beaver, it was just consuming all his time and energy. He wanted to focus on being a regular student.
Makes sense. Did the producers consider trying to continue without him?
They apparently did consider it. Maybe pivoting the focus entirely onto Wally, who was graduating high school at that point, explore his college years or something. But they quickly realized the show just couldn't survive without Beaver. He was the anchor, the core source of all that gentle suburban chaos the show revolved around.
He was the leave it to part of the title, really.
Exactly. So rather than risk diminishing the show's quality or legacy, they made the, I think, very wise choice to conclude the series while it was still beloved, on a high note, respecting their young stars' personal priorities.
And that conclusion, the final episode, it was really well handled, wasn't it? Not just fading away.
Oh, expertly handled. The final episode, Family Scrapbook, aired June 20, 1963. It provided this genuinely skillful and quite emotional send-off. And interestingly, it was directed by Hugh Beaumont himself.
Oh, fitting.
Very fitting. The whole premise was deeply nostalgic, perfectly suited for a finale. June finds an old family scrapbook which prompts all the Cleavers, Ward, June, Wally, and Beaver to gather around and reminisce.
Using flashbacks.
Exactly. They look back through flashbacks of key moments, funny incidents, touching scenes from the previous 6 seasons. It was just a beautiful, simple narrative device to celebrate the character's entire journey from beginning to end.
And finally, that episode answered the biggest, most lingering question that fans had apparently pondered for years and years.
The ultimate mystery.
How did Theodore Cleaver get the nickname Beaver?
Yes. The finale officially revealed the origin story. It came from Wally. Apparently, when Beaver was very, very young, Wally couldn't pronounce his little brother's name, Theodore, correctly.
So what did he say?
He kept mispronouncing it as Tweeter.
Tweeter.
Which over time somehow morphed into the affectionately remembered, iconic nickname, Beaver.
Huh. Tweeter to Beaver.
Okay. Apparently, Mathers himself joked later that after 234 episodes, he thought the writers could have maybe come up with a slightly more dramatic origin story than that. But still, it remains this kind of touching, perfectly family-appropriate little detail that brought closure to one of classic TV's greatest, gentlest mysteries.
Yeah.
Hashtag final takeaway and outro.
You know, what's really most striking when you look at all these secrets behind the Cleaver home is just that stark contrast, isn't it, between the show's absolutely flawless public image and the intensely complex reality of its production. That ideal American family, the one everyone aspired to be like, it was maintained by, well, hiding a father's deep personal tragedy, masking a mother's physical constraints with specific wardrobe choices, enduring these crippling financial setbacks behind the scenes.
And enforcing really strict rules to try and manage the potential egos of the child stars.
Exactly. It just reminds us, I think, that every seemingly perfect image requires this tremendous hidden effort and often significant personal sacrifice happening just off screen. It really does make you reconsider that whole picture of the 1950s ideal, doesn't it? And here's a thought for you to take away. Now that you know about that shockingly expensive $40,000 soup episode, and the logistical nightmare of building 2 giant billboards just so Beaver could get stuck in one, does the episode's simplicity still feel iconic? Or do you now view it maybe more as just a financial curiosity? Think about the real cost of that one silly scene the next time you happen to see a giant billboard.
Definitely adds another layer. Well, thank you so much for exploring the hidden history of this truly classic show with us today.
We really loved pulling back that immaculate curtain on Mayfield for you. If you enjoyed this journey into the history of classic TV, please make sure you like, subscribe, maybe leave us a comment. Let us know which retro celebrity or classic show we should explore next time on Retro Celeb Talk.
We'd love to hear your suggestions.
Absolutely. We'll see you on the next exploration.